Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and we are going to solve GATE 2015 mechanical metallurgy question. Let us proceed. The first question is, the stress required for Oro-1 dislocation bypass is 200 MPa. Right? In an alloy, when the interprecipitate spacing is 500 nanometer. Right? In the same alloy, if the interprecipitate spacing is reduced to 200 nanometer, the stress required in MPa. Okay. So, to make a bow, there is a stress, and this stress is equal to tau is equal to GB upon L. L is the length, right? G is the shear stress and B is the Berger vector, right? Tau is the stress. Here it is given initially it is 200 MPa for certain dislocation with the interprecipitate spacing. These are supposed to be pinned by precipitate here, right? These 2 points. The spacing is 500 nanometer here. So let be the first equation, and the second equation it will be in the same alloy if the interprecipitate spacing is reduced to 200 nanometer. So this stress we need to find. Okay, so stress GB will be same, right? And instead of 500 we will write here 200 nanometer, right? Add these two, then we will get 200 by S is equal to GB will be cancelled and 200 by 500, right? So 200 cancel, that means S equal to 500 MPa, right? So this is a very simple question. Now this is the question. Which of the following Mohr circle of a plane stress condition corresponds to equibiaxial tension? Okay, so this is asking about the Mohr circle of plane stress condition. So here it is given that it is plane stress. So guys, what is the meaning of plane stress? The meaning of plane stress is that there is stress in 2 dimensions, and in the 3rd dimension the stress is 0, right? That means sigma x, sigma y will act and sigma z will be 0. Okay, so this is a 2-dimensional plane stress condition Mohr circle, right? And here it is given that this is equibiaxial tension. That means sigma x and sigma y are in tension and both are equal, right? So what will be the corresponding Mohr circle? So to draw a Mohr circle, we know what is the equation. You just remember the equation. From that you can know everything. Circle. What is the equation? This is the equation, right? So if you compare this one with the equation of a circle, then the coordinate, the center, to find the center in the x-axis it will be A will be what? Sigma x plus sigma y by 2, right? So here sigma x and sigma y are equal. So let it be sigma x plus sigma. That means there will be some value, that is sigma x, right? So y coordinate will be 0, right? A here, B is here something, B is 0. Now if you try to find the radius, then what will be the radius over here? So radius is nothing but this one, right? So that means sigma y minus sigma x by 2 plus tau x y whole square. So sigma y is equal to sigma x. That means this term will be, suppose sigma y minus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau x y square. So this term will be 0, and here it is given that tau x y is equal to 0 because it is given that it is a plane stress condition. So there is no any kind of shear stress which is acting over. So radius will be how much? 0. So for this Mohr circle, the radius is 0 and the center of this circle is such that A is equal to sigma x and B is equal to 0. Right? So this will correspond to some value in the x direction sigma, right? Some value of sigma, and radius will be 0. So this will be just a point, right? So this will be just a point, and in the x direction it will be contain some value, and the y coordinate of that will be 0, right? So this will be something like sigma x, let it be. So this is your correct answer, right? Now let us move to next question. Match the following fracture surface features listed in group 1 with the fracture mechanism listed in group 2. Okay. First is the striations, then dimples and microvoids, flat facets and river marking, jagged surface with grain-like feature. You know, striations are formed in fatigue fracture. So striations looks like this. Suppose this is the fracture surface, then this is the origin, right? So it moves like this, right? And ultimately what happens? There is a basically high stress fracture takes place, means sudden fracture takes place. So this is the point of origin, basically that is called as origin, right? And these are the striations which are formed. The next is the dimples and microvoids. Dimples and microvoids are formed in ductile fracture, right? We know that these are the form. Suppose we do the tensile testing, right? So whenever this type of fracture takes place, and if you see the fracture surface of a ductile, then it will be such that there will be some kind of voids will be there. These are terms of microvoid. Flat facets and river marking. Flat facets and river marking are cleavage fracture. These are cleavage fracture. Cleavage fracture happens when we apply a very high amount of stress which is unbearable, right? Jagged surface with grain-like feature. The jagged surface with grain-like feature is formed in the case of intergranular fracture. So Q will match with 3 and P will match with 4. So what is the correct option? P matches with 4, Q matches with 3, R matches with 2, and S matches with 1. Okay, so option C. Next question. Match the scientist pairs listed in group 1 with phenomena listed in group 2. Okay, so these are scientist pair, and according to their name, some phenomenon has been associated with that. That is Hall patch. Hall patch gives about the relation about the grain boundary strengthening. We know sigma y is equal to sigma naught plus k root over t. As you increase the diameter, that means the size of the grain, then sigma y decreases. Okay, so this gives the Hall patch. Nabarro herring creep. So Nabarro herring creep tell about the creep. Basically, Nabarro herring is has defined a mechanism called as diffusional creep. Right? Nabarro herring creep. You can see the diagram here. It takes place at high temperature and low stress. Okay. So Nabarro herring is associated with creep. Next is Lomer Cottrell. So Lomer Cottrell is associated with dislocation reaction product. Lomer Cottrell is associated with, it gives some kind of dislocation reaction, it produces some dislocation which is immobile. So Lomer Cottrell, that is Lomer Cottrell. Next is Frank Reed. Frank Reed gives about the dislocation source. Right? You have seen here, when the dislocation is pinned and you apply stress, what happens? It bends, it forms like this, and ultimately it forms a dislocation, and we have the original dislocation within this circular dislocation. So it is associated with Frank Reed. Okay. Now, next question. In an FCC crystal, the strain energy per unit length of a dislocation with Berger vector A by 2 110 is dash times of A by 6 112 dislocation. So first dislocation we have with Berger vector is A by 2 110, right? The second case we have A by 6 112, right? We know energy that is strain energy per unit length is GB square by 2, right? So for the first case, E1 will be G by 2 and B square, and B will be how much? That is square, right? So it will be G by 2 and B will be A square by 4 and root over 1 plus 1 the whole square, right? This implies G by 2 A square by 4 into 2, right? And from second, E2 is equal to G by 2 and B square. So B you will write as A square by 36 into the square root, then square. So square root of 1 plus 1 plus 4, right? In square here. That means G by 2 A square by 36 into 2 6 here, right? So if you divide these two, E1 by E2, then it will be G by 2 will be cancel, A square by A square cancel. So 2 by 4 divided by 6 by 36, half 6, that means 6 by 2, that means 3, right? So E1 is equal to 3 times E2, right? So this is what it has been asked over here, right? Okay. Now let us move to next question. Match the desired mechanical properties listed in group 1 with the microstructural features listed in group 2. So group 1 we have creep resistance, first one, then elastic modulus enhancement, then superplasticity, then increase the strength. So creep resistance, how can you increase the creep resistance? If you increase the grain size, then we see that there is tremendous improvement in the creep. So that means by increasing such that if you form a single crystal, then it will have the highest amount of creep resistance, right? The next is the elastic modulus enhancement. When we see elastic modulus enhancement, that means the elasticity of the material is being enhanced. That means we are going to use glass fibers in epoxy. We know elastic constant of composite is volume fraction of fiber multiplied by the elastic constant of fiber plus volume constant of matrix and elastic constant of matrix. And since EF is very greater than EM, so this complete EC gets enhanced, right? That means the elastic constant or the elastic modulus is enhanced. In the case of glass fibers, this is nothing but a composite, right? Next is the superplasticity. Superplasticity is a phenomenon when we have such that we deform a material such that the elongation is very high and we do not see necking in a very small duration. So that we can get through the fine grained two-phase microstructure. Whenever the grain size becomes finer, basically what happens, we get the tendency such that the deformation is very smooth, right? We can get a superplastic region. Increase the strength. How we get to increase the strength? So here the last option, it is coherent precipitant. So when we add some kind of precipitates, then what happens, this helps to pin the dislocation. Suppose this is precipitate, then dislocation will be pinned here and it will increase the strength, right? When it increases the strength, then that is the full aim of this material property enhancement. So P matches with 2, Q matches with 4, R matches with 1 and S matches with 3. So option C will be the correct one. Next one. A brittle material is mechanically tested in medium P, in which it has surface energy Ys, gamma S 0.9 joule per meter square. This material has a fracture strength of 300 MPa for a given flow size. Okay. The same solid containing the same flows is then tested in medium Q, in which gamma S is equal to 0.1 joule per meter square. The fracture strength in MPa in medium Q based on Griffith's theory is. So here we need to use the Griffith's theory. So according to Griffith's theory, suppose this is the material, the two-dimensional material, and we are applying some stress over here, and we have the crack whose size is 2c, right? That means sigma f, you know, it is given by 2e gamma s by pi c to the power half, right? This is the fracture strength. So the first case, it is given 300 MPa. For the gamma is equal to 0.9, so 2e will be same and gamma s will be 0.9 here, pi c, right? Let it be first equation. In the second equation, we need to find the fracture strength. So let it be fracture strength be x, and in the second case the elastic constant is same, but only the medium is changing. So medium, it has got gamma is equal to 0.1 pi c to the power half, right? So when we divide these two equations, that means 300 by x is equal to 0.9 by 0.1 to the power half, that means 9 to the power half, that means 3. So this implies x equal to 300 by 3, that means 100 MPa, right? Okay, so that means when we decrease the surface energy, then we get fracture stress, which is very lesser than that. Okay, so this is the answer. Thank you for giving attention over here. Hope this will help you in your GATE preparation. Thank you.